Hi, this is ewjtri, and in today's video we have the top 5 things that you can do in the pool to help prepare you for that open water swim portion of the triathlon. You probably don't have access to open water, or even if you do, it's probably not close, or you can only get there, a couple of times for the race. So these things will definitely help prepare you. They won't necessarily make you comfortable with the triathlon open water swim portion. I don't know if we ever get truly comfortable swimming with 100 of our fellow athlete friends, but it'll definitely help you feel less uncomfortable when you take on that challenge of the swim triathlon portion. Okay, so you're training alone at the pool, getting your swim sets in. Let's prepare you for that open water swim. Number 1, practice actually getting out of the water during your swim set 3-4 times. The reason for this is at the end of the triathlon swim leg, it's actually fairly common for athletes to get a little dizzy or feel off balance when they go from that horizontal plane of swimming and then go to that vertical stand. Now, it can be for several different reasons. One is your body's just not used to it, so hence practicing it. Number 2 is actually move a little bit slower. So as you shift from horizontal to vertical, if you move a little slower, it may reduce how much dizziness or feeling off balance that you have. And then once you steady yourself, start walking or running if you want in the transition. But aside from just kind of getting used to it and moving slower, especially if you want to move quickly, is actually the last minute or 2 of the triathlon swim, kick a little bit more. So when you're in the pool, kicking for more than you would for the last minute or 2, and then stop, get out, whether it be the stairs or the ladder. Just be careful as you're getting out of the pool, not to slip, don't get dizzy, feel off balance. But as you have more blood flow in the legs, it should help with that transition from moving from horizontal to vertical. Now that kind of is typically the most common reason that it happens. There are a few other ones, so investigate if you're still feeling some dizziness or feeling off balance after you try that. A couple real quick are if it's really cold water or if there's water in the ear, that could sometimes do it, so practicing with earplugs perhaps. And the other thing could be related to blood sugar. So if you have a easily digestible set of calories, such as a gel pack, 20 to 30 minutes before a workout, that could also help reduce some of that. So that's a couple things, but again, practice going from swimming to getting out of the water as you'll be basically rehearsing the end of the swim portion of your race. Second thing is to actually practice treading water. So some races have a deep water start, so the reason to do this treading water in the pool goes without saying. A lot of races don't have the open water, deep water start, so you don't need to tread water, but this is still worth practicing in the sense that if you are out there and you get tired or a cramp or something happens, you got to adjust your goggles, that you feel comfortable sort of stopping your stroke in the water and actually treading water, making that adjustment, maybe taking some deep breaths depending on what the issue is, getting adjusted, and then going back to swimming. That actually takes me into tip number 3 in the open water, where you're practicing turning. You don't get to push it off the wall in an open water race. So as you get 3/4 of the way down or so, practice actually, without touching the bottom, stopping, turning around, and then heading back to where you started in the pool. Just be careful as you get close to that wall, you don't kick the wall. I've done it. So yeah, so practice turning around without having the wall push off. And this really simulates turning around typically the giant yellow or orange buoys that are blown up to help plot the course of a race that you're going to turn around. Depending on the direction of the race, you can turn around it and go on to the next buoy. So practicing turning, it's very difficult to do, especially at first, but you'll start to adjust to that and you'll feel more comfortable without being able to push off the wall. Number 4 tip is to actually practice sighting. So essentially, you're looking up out of the water, looking at those buoys we just talked about, or looking for the shore or the finish line. And so you can start off by, after taking a few strokes, kind of pick your head up and looking up out of the pool, and then taking a few strokes and then looking back up. You can also try doing this to kind of build some strength with it by actually swimming a whole length with your head above water, so you're actually just swimming, keeping that head up. Obviously you wouldn't swim the whole race like this, but you start to build that strength, and you get used to just having your head out of water, which you naturally wouldn't do with a typical pool session. So that can help for the sighting purposes. Now, tip number 5 is actually to practice kind of 2 different things. One is sort of swimming on both sides. So everyone has typically a strong side. Mine's breathing on the right, and that can be the majority of where you swim is fine, but also practice swimming on and breathing out the left, even if it's a little bit awkward. You may have to do this once or twice if you get bumped or splashed with water. You may have to turn to the side, and then you can switch back to your strong side. It's fine, but practice that kind of back and forth a little bit, or even just swimming a whole length just with that left side and a whole length just with the right side as you adjust to that. And related to that, you can sort of swim a couple strokes on your right and then actually swim without putting your head up and then look to the left. And so you're basically taking 3 strokes before breathing. And so that can help get you adjusted to holding your breath a little bit longer, which may happen in a race if people are swimming around you or kind of over you. It's hard to breathe. You feel comfortable holding your breath a little bit longer. So not only are you holding your breath longer, but you're switching back and forth. And then if you want to further practice holding your breath longer, even with your strong side, for example, you could take 4 strokes or 6 strokes and then breathe, and then do 4 strokes and then breathe. It's what's called hypoxic breathing. So you're getting used to it. It's uncomfortable, but that may happen in a race, and so you're sort of preparing yourself if it were to occur. Because it probably will happen, maybe not a lot, but any more of these things that you can practice and prepare, the more hopefully less uncomfortable you will feel. So those are the 5 tips if you're in the water by yourself, in the pool. If you have some friends or a group of people you train with, there's a couple other things you can do in the pool. One is 2 of you, or 3 or even 4 is maybe better, starting to swim basically all kind of next to each other. Getting used to swimming around people, it's a little bit strange. You're kind of bumping a little bit accidentally, but it happens. So kind of getting used to that feeling as you just kind of swim back and forth. The other thing you can do with one other person or a couple people is swim in a line, so you can practice almost, again, accidentally hitting the person's feet in front of you, and also used to that draft. It is a different feel than when you're swimming by yourself, when you're right behind someone. It actually helps you swim faster, but it is sort of a different feeling. And then the same thing with someone swimming behind you, and what it feels like to get your feet tapped or be bumped in the leg, because that will happen at the very least, typically in the swim portion of the triathlon. So those are the 5 tips if you're in the pool by yourself, with a couple of bonus tips. You can do these exercises or tips in any sort of combination thereof, and adjust them and get more specific with them as you improve and as you feel more comfortable. If you have other tips that help prepare people to get out in that open water when they really only have access to a pool, especially if they're a newbie, please put them in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. I know they'd appreciate it. And if you don't want to miss another video, hit that red subscribe button, and happy swimming.